Lovely ladies, I am coming to you this afternoon. It's a little bit later today. I apologize for that. Not coming on this morning. But this is Wednesday, October 16th, and I am here for the 16th day of Wisdom from the Word, reading from the Psalms and Proverbs. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. I'm outside, and it's raining lightly in the background. So if you hear those sounds, maybe it'll be, soothing, relaxing, like those nature sounds in the background. Psalm 76. The majesty of God in judgment. And I forgot to bring a drink out here, so hopefully my voice, my throat is okay. God's reputation is very great in Judah and in Israel. His home is in Jerusalem. He lives upon Mount Zion. There he breaks the weapons of our enemies. The everlasting mountains cannot compare with you in glory. The mightiest of our enemies are conquered. They lie before us in the sleep of death. Not one can lift a hand against us. When you rebuked them, God of Jacob, steeds and riders fell. No wonder you are greatly feared. Who can stand before an angry God? You pronounce sentence on them from heaven. The earth trembles and stands silently before you. You stand up to punish the evildoers and to defend the meek of the earth. Man's futile wrath will bring you glory. You will use it as an ornament. Fulfill all your vows that you have made to Jehovah your God. Let everyone bring him presents. He should be reverenced and feared, for he cuts down princes and does awesome things to the kings of the earth. There's a little squirrel running by. That's the thing about doing it outside, I guess. Nature will distract me. Psalm 77, the consoling memory of God's redemptive works. I cry to the Lord. I call and call to him. Oh, that he would listen. I am in deep trouble, and I need his help so badly. All night long I pray, lifting my hands to heaven, pleading. There can be no joy for me until he acts. I think of God and moan, overwhelmed with longing for his help. I cannot sleep until you act. I'm too distressed even to pray. Ever been there before? I keep thinking of the good old days of the past, long since ended. Then my nights were filled with joyous songs. I search my soul and meditate upon the difference now. Has the Lord rejected me forever? Will he never again be favorable? Is his loving kindness gone forever? Has his promise failed? Has he forgotten to be kind to one so undeserving? Has he slammed the door in anger on his love? And I said, this is my fate, that the blessings of God have changed to hate. I recall the many miracles he did for me so long ago. Those wonderful deeds are constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about them. Oh God, your ways are holy. Where is there any other as mighty as you? You are the God of miracles and wonders. You still demonstrate your awesome power. You have redeemed us, who are the sons of Jacob and Joseph, by your might. When the Red Sea saw you, how it feared. It trembled to its depths. The clouds poured down their rain. The thunder rolled and crackled in the sky. Your lightning flashed. There was thunder in the whirlwind. The lightning lighted up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your road led by a pathway through the sea, a pathway no one knew was there. You led your people along that road like a flock of sheep, with Moses and Aaron as their shepherds. Psalm 78, God's kindness to rebellious Israel. O my people, listen to my teaching. Open your ears to what I'm saying. For I will show you lessons from our history, stories handed down to us from former generations. I will reveal these truths to you so that you can describe these glorious deeds of Jehovah to your children and tell them about the mighty miracles he did. For he gave his laws to Israel and commanded our fathers to teach them to their children, so that they in turn could teach their children too. Thus his laws passed down from generation to generation. In this way, each generation has been able to obey his laws and to set its hope anew on God and not forget his glorious miracles. Thus they did not need to be as their fathers were, stubborn, rebellious, unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God. The people of Ephraim, though fully armed, were defeated in battle, because they didn't obey his laws. They refused to follow his ways, and they forgot about the wonderful miracles God had done for them and for their fathers back in Egypt. For he divided the sea before them and led them through. The water stood banked up along both sides of them. In the daytime he led them by a cloud, and at night by a pillar of fire. He split open the rocks in the wilderness to give them plenty of water, as though gushing from a spring. Streams poured from the rock, flowing like a river. Yet they kept on with their rebellion, sinning against the God who is above all gods. They murmured and complained, demanding other food than God was giving them. They even spoke against God himself. "Why can't he give us decent food as well as water?" they grumbled. Jehovah heard them and was angry. The fire of his wrath burned against Israel, because they didn't believe in God or trust in him to care for them. Even though he commanded the skies to open, he opened the windows of heaven and rained down manna for their food. He gave them bread from heaven. They ate angels' food. He gave them all that they could hold. And he led forth the east wind and guided the south wind by his mighty power. He rained down birds as thick as dust, clouds of them like sands along the shore. He caused the birds to fall near the ground among the tents. The people ate their fill. He gave them what they asked for, but they had hardly finished eating, and the meat was yet in their mouths, when the anger of the Lord rose against them and killed the finest of Israel's young men. Yet even so, the people kept on sinning and refused to believe the miracles. So he cut their lives short and gave them years of terror and disaster. Then at last, when he had ruined them, they walked a while behind him. How earnestly they turned around and followed him. Then they remembered that God was their rock, that their Savior was the God above all gods. But it was only with their words they followed him, not with their hearts. Their hearts were far away. They did not keep their promises. Yet he was merciful and forgave their sins and didn't destroy them all. Many and many a time he held back his anger, for he remembered that they were merely mortal men, gone in a moment like a breath of wind. Oh, how often they rebelled against him in those desert years and grieved his heart. Again and again they turned away and tempted God to kill them, and limited the Holy One of Israel from giving them his blessings. They forgot his power and love and how he had rescued them from their enemies. They forgot the plagues he sent upon the Egyptians in Tanis, how he turned their rivers into blood so that no one could drink, and how he sent vast swarms of flies to fill the land, and how the frogs had covered all of Egypt. He gave their crops to caterpillars. Their harvest was consumed by locusts. He destroyed their grapevines and their sycamores with hail. Their cattle died in the fields, mortally wounded by ice balls from heaven. Their sheep were killed by lightning. He loosed on them the fierceness of his anger, sending sorrow and trouble. He dispatched against them a band of destroying angels. He gave free course to his anger and did not spare the Egyptians' lives, but handed them over to plagues and sickness. Then he killed the eldest son in each Egyptian family, he who was the beginning of its strength and joy. But he led forth his own people like a flock, guiding them safely through the wilderness. He kept them safe, so they were not afraid. But the sea closed in upon their enemies and overwhelmed them. He brought them to the border of his land of blessing, to this land of hills he made for them. He drove out the nations occupying the land, and gave each tribe of Israel its apportioned place as its home. Yet though he did all this for them, they still rebelled against the God above all gods, and refused to follow his commands. They turned back from entering the promised land and disobeyed as their fathers had. Like a crooked arrow, they missed the target of God's will. They made him angry by erecting idols and altars to other gods. When God saw their deeds, his wrath was strong, and he despised his people. Then he abandoned his tabernacle at Shiloh, where he had lived among mankind, and allowed his ark to be captured. He surrendered his glory into empty hands. He caused his people to be butchered because his anger was intense. Their young men were killed by fire, and their girls died before they were old enough to sing their wedding songs. The priests were slaughtered, and their widows died before they could even begin their lament. Then the Lord rose up as though awakening from sleep, and like a mighty man aroused by wine, he routed his enemies and drove them back and sent them to eternal shame. But he rejected Joseph's family, the tribe of Ephraim, and chose the tribe of Judah and Mount Zion, which he loved. There he built his towering temple, solid and enduring as the heavens and the earth. He chose his servant David, taking him from feeding sheep and from following the ewes with lambs. God presented David to his people as their shepherd, and he cared for them with a true heart and skillful hands. Psalm 79, a dirge and a prayer for Israel destroyed by enemies. O God, your land has been conquered by the heathen nations. Your temple is defiled, and Jerusalem is a heap of ruins. The bodies of your people lie exposed, food for birds and animals. The enemy has butchered the entire population of Jerusalem. Blood has flowed like water. No one is left even to bury them. The nations all around us scoff. They heap contempt on us. O Jehovah, how long will you be angry with us? Forever? Will your jealousy burn till every hope is gone? Pour out your wrath upon the godless nations, not on us, and on kingdoms that refuse to pray, that will not call upon your name. For they have destroyed your people, Israel, invading every home. Oh, do not hold us guilty for our former sins. Let your tender-hearted mercies meet our needs, for we are brought low to the dust. Help us, God of our salvation. Help us for the honor of your name. Oh, save us and forgive our sins. Why should the heathen nations be allowed to scoff? Where is their God? Publicly avenge this slaughter of your people. Listen to the sighing of the prisoners and of those condemned to die. Demonstrate the greatness of your power by saving them. O Lord, take sevenfold vengeance on these nations scorning you. Then we, your people, the sheep of your pasture, will thank you forever and ever, praising your greatness from generation to generation. Proverbs 16. We can make our plans, but the final outcome is in God's hands. We can always prove that we are right, but is the Lord convinced? Commit your work to the Lord, then it will succeed. The Lord has made everything for his own purposes, even the wicked for punishment. Pride disgusts the Lord. Take my word for it. Proud men shall be punished. Iniquity is atoned for by mercy and truth. Being good comes from reverence for God. When a man is trying to please God, he makes even his worst enemies to be at peace with him. A little gained honestly is better than great wealth gotten by dishonest means. We should make plans counting on God to direct us. God will help the king to judge the people fairly. There need be no mistakes. The Lord demands fairness in every business deal. He established this principle. It is a horrible thing for a king to do evil. His right to rule depends on his fairness. The king rejoices when his people are truthful and fair. The anger of a king is a messenger of death, and a wise man will appease it. Many favors are showered on those who please the king. How much better is wisdom than gold, and understanding than silver? The path of the godly leads away from evil. He who follows that path is safe. Pride goes before destruction, and haughtiness before a fall. Better poor and humble than proud and rich. God blesses those who obey him. Happy the man who trusts in the Lord. The wise man is known by his common sense, and a pleasant teacher is the best. Wisdom is a fountain of life to those possessing it, but a fool's burden is his folly. From a wise mind comes careful and persuasive speech. Kind words are like honey, enjoyable and healthful. Another squirrel. Before every man there lies a wide and pleasant road he thinks is right, but it ends in death. Hunger is good if it makes you work to satisfy it. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle lips are his mouthpiece. An evil man sows strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. Wickedness loves company and leads others into sin. The wicked man stares into space with pursed lips, deep in thought. planning his evil deeds. White hair is a crown of glory and is seen most among the godly. It is better to be slow-tempered than famous. It is better to have self-control than to control an army. Forgive me. We toss the coin, but it is the Lord who controls its decision. And that concludes our reading today from Psalms and Proverbs. Wisdom from the Word, and we'll see you again tomorrow for more. God bless.